This screencast focuses on adding additional elements to your Google form. The first element that we can focus on is over here where we have our what looks like a paint palette. This paint palette allows you to change the background. You can change it to the available colors, or you can also upload your own photo. So I would like to change my form to green. You can also, this button we will use later for previewing it. Within the settings, you have additional features where you can collect email addresses. You can require that only one response is allowed. Within quizzes, you can tell whether or not you want the students to receive their answers immediately, whether you want them to know if they missed their questions, what the correct answer is, and the point values. As you go down each of the actual assessments, you'll also see different elements to the right hand side. So to question 1, you can add a picture, you can add an additional text box, you can add a YouTube video. So let's start with the first tool. You can add a text box. Note that anything you add is going to show up underneath wherever the highlighted box is. Right now it's highlighted on question 1. So I know if I add a text box, it's going to appear between where this says question 1 and my actual question. So I'm going to select text box. I use this if I am quoting something from a paragraph or I want to identify a specific sentence or a specific statement. It's also easy to copy this by clicking on what looks to be 2 pieces of paper on top of each other. You can also move this element to wherever you would like it to go by selecting the 6 dots that are above it, and that actually goes for any element within Google Forms. If you select the 6 dots, you can always move it to another location. Right now I don't want to add this quote, so I'm going to go ahead and press trash. I want to add a picture. This icon, which looks like a picture with a mountain in it, allows you to add an image. There are several ways to add an image. You can upload something from your actual computer as long as it's saved as an actual picture file. For example, a JPG or a PNG file, those work best. You can take a snapshot of the actual screen that you're looking at. However, you will need a camera. You can upload by the URL. So for example, if you know of a website that you would like to go to get a specific image, you can do it that way as well. You can select it from your albums that are within Google Albums. You can select from your actual Google Drive files, or the one that I tend to use quite often is Search. Search is going to allow you to basically do a Google search within your Google form. So for example, say I would like an image of a square. If I type in the word square, it's going to run a Google search as it would if you were in the regular Google search engine. You can specify it by color or other additional elements. And at that point, let's see, which square would I like? I like this orange square. So I select it, press select, and it automatically ends up in my document. Now you can give your image a title, but it's not necessary. You can also make your item centered, left aligned, change the actual document, or remove it. Also, most often you will see that the image shows up fairly large. In order to make it smaller, you simply click on it and drag it in to the size that you would like. I would also like my image to be centered, so I'm going to select back on my 3 dots and center align it. Another element that you can also add is adding a video. So remember that any element that I try to add is going to add it underneath whatever section is already selected. So I'm going to add a video by selecting what looks like a YouTube icon. And that's exactly where it takes you, is to YouTube, or you can also type in the specific YouTube URL if you already know it. However, it's a lot easier if you video search. So I want a video about squares. And obviously I have lots of squares. My suggestion would be to go to YouTube first and come up with the video that you would like to use, and then either search for it or use the URL that way. So right now, I'm going to select the Square song just for example purposes. I select it, and it automatically uploads directly into my actual Google form. This is something that the students can look at right there on your page. It's already embedded, so they may be required to watch this video and then answer questions from it. Similar to the actual picture that we added above, you can title this video, you can center it, left align, right align, change the video. Don't forget that you can move it if you need to. If you would like to duplicate this video, don't forget that that is where you select the icon that looks like two pieces of paper. Also, within Google Forms, on the right-hand side of every element, there are these 3 dots. Within these dots, you can also add things like captions, or you might need to delete that section, duplicate the section, or merge with above. But just know that within each element, you have 3 dots that you may need to use for something. All right, something else that you can do within Google Forms, you can also add images to your actual question. So right now I'm back into my example question 1, and I would like an image that goes with this section. It's going to show up right underneath the words example question 1. It's the same concept where once you click on the picture, it's going to take you to this option for the same upload types. Each one of your responses can also have a picture, so this works really well with primary students who may not be reading yet. However, you want them to choose different options. You can do the same thing over here to the right of each question. You will see where it shows the picture icon. Also note that within Google Forms, something that I like to use a lot is to determine where my user is going to go next. With that being said, underneath each section, you see where it says after section 2. This is basically saying after this section that I have created, this is section 2 of 3, after this section, what do I want them to do? Do I want them to go back to section 1, which is the first page? Do I want them to go on to the next section? Or do I want them to just go straight to submit the form? Those are some different options that you also have. I suggest playing with it to really think about where it is you want your user to go. Sometimes I use this section to also alter where I would like the person to go based on their specific answer. So for example, if I click over to the right 3 dots, you see where it says go to section based on answer. If you select this, each one of these responses can either allow your user to go straight to the next section, which will be question 2, or if they choose answer A, which is not correct, I might want them to go back and look at a different section. If they choose answer B, similarly, I might want them to go back and look at a different section. However, if they choose section answer C, which is the correct answer, then I may want them to go on to the next one. This feature comes in very handy for student responses or learning modules, things like that. It's an option, it's not required. If you don't want that option, just go back to where you clicked on your 3 dots and deselect it. Something else you may notice within answer key, you may notice add answer feedback. This is for if a student gives a response, whether it be correct or incorrect, you can give the student immediate feedback at that point. For example, if you click on add answer feedback, what this is saying in this box, it says incorrect answers. Therefore, anything you type in this box will go to every student that chose answer A, B, or D because those were not the correct responses. And they will get that immediate feedback as soon as they select the answer. This icon here allows you to link something. So, for example, if a student chooses an incorrect answer and you want them to have an opportunity for remediation, you may link some videos that reteaches that component so that they can re-answer that question and understand the material. Similarly, For the correct answers, you may want to give them feedback that says, great job, keep up the good work. You might link them to a video that has congratulations or different things like that. So this gives that student immediate feedback. This is typically best for learning modules or ongoing formative assessments where ultimately you want them to gain the information. It's not summative. It's not a final score. You want them to actually know the information and get that immediate feedback. This is self-directed for that student. It does not require a teacher there to give them that immediate feedback. It's a great tool. It is somewhat time consuming if you have a lot of questions. However, in the long run, once you complete it once, you don't have to do it again. And it's some really great feedback for your students. Those are the main elements that you can add to just a regular Google form. This icon here requires you to add an add-on. We will discuss add-ons and some of the different components that you can use with those add-ons later.